Namaste, good morning, adab and sat sri akal. Very warm welcome to the Shruti Dutt show, and I'm really excited today because I have a wonderful guest with me, Dr. Kuiljeit Uppaal, जो अपने आप में ही एक हीरा है हमारे देश के लिए और आजकल एक जौहरी का काम कर रही हैं, हीरे तराश रही हैं. She is improving the youth and women of our country with her wisdom and her talks and her seminars and a whole lot more. So, आज मैं सुबह से जब when I was thinking about Dr. Kuljit, बार बार मेरे मन में वो गाना याद आ रहा था. मेरे देश की धरती. I'm not much of a singer. I want you to sing it. Can you sing two lines for us, Kuljit, to
Oh
begin
my
the show?
God. Thank you. That's so humbling. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Shruti. Um, I don't know if all the words are known to me, but I'll try. मेरे देश की धरती, मेरे देश की धरती, सोना उगले उगले हीरे मोती, मेरे देश की धरती. Something like that.
Wonderful, Kuljit. So, हमारे देश में एक्चुअली में बहुत हीरे मोती सोना सब कुछ है. We are loaded with the youth in our country, which I truly believe is the true diamonds in our country. And you are doing the great job as an educator now after all the other things that you've done in life and really training the youth of the country. So before anything else, I want you to talk a little bit about, you've even you've got many awards as an educator, as an innovation educator award, and so many of them. I want you to talk a little bit about your passion for training the youth and your passion for coming into this line as an educator. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself on that?
Okay, it's actually a very long journey. And you've probably asked me a question which is probably the second part of my journey. So
Yes, I'll
I'll
come
go
back to the
straight.
first part later.
Yeah, so I'll go straight to the second part since you've asked me that. I think for the fact that my mother, who was a principal of a school and a teacher for God knows how many decades, so I think somewhere down the line I used to go with her to her school and watch the way things would go and sometimes even peek into the classes to see what's happening. And I think I kind of liked the whole feel and the whole vibe of the way education would work and things like that. And I know she was a very innovative person, so she would not do things in the regular mode. And I think that kind of got me excited also, but I never kind of thought of it very consciously. Much later in life, when you have accumulated knowledge and you feel you have the supposed set of skills that determine you to be an educator and now impart knowledge to people, is when I assume the role that, okay, fine, let me try now and also teach people. But coming to your question more pointedly, I think it was more to do with the fact that I'm a Fauji's daughter. I'm an Air Force officer's daughter and married to a Fauji. So my heart beats for India. And anything that I can do in my own capacity to be able to make that difference in my own little minuscule way was what always was at top of the priority list. And somewhere down over the years, I have read a lot of literature is one thing, but I'm not talking of educational literature. That, of course, I have a few degrees and my PhD and all of that. But I'm talking of being a little acclimatized with the environment of education. Right from, the way in the yesteryears, we had, let's say, the Gurukul kind of education. And then it moved down to the Mechanism, post the British era. And then now the new innovative ways of looking at education. So I've been kind of keeping a tab of how it's been going. And I know one thing, that there is a harsh reality as much as we are constantly improving, but the harsh reality was this, that we are still not there. So in my own little way, I said, before I go to the 6 feet grave at some point in time, what can I do as a person who has brought in so much of education to myself, so much of knowledge to myself? Let me give something to the youth. And I think it's my duty to do something for my country that's made me what I am. It's as simple as that. So I
Yes.
started my journey many years ago, over a decade ago, in fact, of actually moving into a mission mode and trying to make a difference to the youth of the country In the FICCI Summit 2013, it was declared that India will be one of the youngest nations in 2030. And
Yes.
about 140 million graduates would be there, out of which 1 out of 4 graduates in the world would be a product of the Indian higher education system. And that actually had me completely pop up in delight and, get very excited that here is a thing which I can contribute towards, because we have a young population vis-a-vis a lot of other countries. And that's fantastic news. So I went into this, fifth gear immediately, that let me do whatever I can. So I've been grooming students across, right from school till the PhD level. So I've been kind of interacting and engaging and training and mentoring and all of these things that today are, getting flaunted all over the place in terms of jargon. But I have been sitting with them and trying to get them up the groove, to empower themselves, to feel confident, to dare to dream that if they want to work in Switzerland or Australia or Japan or India, even wherever, they are ready for it internally. And of course, with the whole fact that the PM came up with Atmanirbhar Bharat, my whole modus operandi changed its gear with that new, revelation that he shared. So I have been on this mission even stronger. I wrote my book in line with Atmanirbhar Bharat. So my whole focus has been that. Apart from that, on the international diaspora, I've been a lot. Oh my God, there you are. Thank you, Shruti. That's very thoughtful. Thank you for the kindness. On the international diaspora, I work a lot with the United Nations Sustainable Goals, especially Goal 4, which is quality education. So there's a lot of stuff that I keep trying to do in my own way with both these areas, whether it's domestic or international. The whole endeavor is to make sure that we pass on our legacy to the young crop of the world in the right manner and let them feel
Absolutely,
empowered as they grow.
Kuiljeit. Teachers, educators, coaches, we are nation builders, and it's a proud feeling to be a teacher and in the industry of education, because I think that's where you can really make a difference to the future of the country in a very big way.
Yeah.
And this is especially for the teachers who may be listening. Just be very, very proud of yourself. Unfortunately, in our country, teachers are not given, now it's changing, but they're not given the kind of reverence and status that they truly, truly deserve. And you're talking about putting the fifth gear, but I know that आपका फिफ्थ गियर तो बचपन में ही लग गया था और वो फिफ्थ गियर पे ही गाड़ी चलती चली जा रही है. So before we continue, I want to request Sunita to just put on the introduction video of yours, and then I want to tell the viewers a little bit more about you before we continue our inspiring conversation with each other. So,
Sure.
Sunita, can we please have the video of Kuiljeit ji? Is she there? Tech team, can we please have the video played? Okay. I don't know where they've gone. So, okay, I'm going to read to the viewers about Dr. Kuiljeit Uppaal. While she smiles at you in her humble way. And she is an image scientist, impact strategist, PIQ inventor, CEO of Kriya, author, aviator, and a transformation speaker. Dr. Kuiljeit Uppaal, the world's first image scientist and genius polymath, which he truly is. This is what I want to, talk about today. How the hell can you excel in every single thing you do? This is what I want to know. And this is what our viewers want to know. So she has been honored with several awards for excellence. They are over 50, but I will read out a few. In the world of innovation, education, and social impact, including the prestigious World Innovation Award. She is in the Hall of Fame in 2019, Innovative Education Leadership Award for Excellence in Social Innovation and Global Impact in 2019, World Education Award 2018 for Innovation, Global Woman of Worth honor in 2021. Bharat Gaurav Award in 2021 for exemplary work in global society. Shiksha Bharati Award in 2020. The Nari Udyamita Puraskar in 2018 by the MSME Ministry and WES. and has also been conferred with the esteemed honor of Karamveer Chakra Award by the United Nations and iCongo, as well as the Global Goals Award 2020 and National Icon of 2020. Dr. Kuiljeit has been awarded with the esteemed Inspirational Polymath Award. Being an image scientist, an aviator, an entrepreneur, a creative director, an author, and an educationist, among other hats that she wears. Dr. Kuljit is in the Asia Book of Records, World Records India, Bharat Book of World Records, and India Book of Records, holder for being the first image scientist in the world. She has researched and created innovative concepts like PRIM, DPRIM, Premier, and PIQ, the world's first ever persona and image quotient, and has been applauded the world over for her work and volume of contribution. With over 3 decades of work experience in varied industries, as well as an advisor, office bearer of many women organizations around the world, she works towards bringing about policies and creating a robust ecosystem for empowerment of women globally. This amazing impact strategist has made India proud in her area, apart from being a thought leader and inspirational humanitarian who has been impacting thousands of lives globally on her mission to make a powerful difference to the persona and image of individuals and enhance life skills across the globe. So this is so wonderful, Dr. Kaljit. I'm feeling really honored. I feel like standing up and clapping for you, but I avoid
Oh,
standing up because my frame goes out of
thank you.
sync
Thank you.
then.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so I would, continue on your what we were discussing about the education part and how you would. So, um, yeah, I was wanting to go back since I've also been in the field of education and I've also been working with the underprivileged as well as the other students most of my life. I want to connect your, innovations, and I wanted to talk about your innovations and also want to connect your this whole thing about being an image scientist. How can we take it down to the schools and to the teachers? Both, because I think that would really make a big difference. So, would you like to discuss something on that? How is it going to
So,
be? Yeah.
yeah. In fact, you took me back to the time when I was defending my thesis on my final date of the Viva. Because eventually you have to research for something is one thing, but at the end of the day, your research should make it meaningful for society. That's what I've truly believed. And it's not just finding something, but it's something that leads to a certain purpose. And my whole purpose of my journey when I was researching and doing the subject was eventually being able to create a volume of work which has some impact on people. And when I meant people, my focus was on students. So, and I'm talking of India specific because in PhD you don't go global. It's always a very specific topic. You go deep into it and then you start expanding on it. So that was firstly the starting point itself. Wherein I remember from whatever statistics I had delved into and researched and done my own sampling and testing, the scores that came out in terms of the various elements of image amongst the student group was so low that it was alarming. And I remember the entire set of people who were listening, especially the panel, they were actually kind of baffled and said, "Oh my God, we don't even know that students are not even there, and leave alone being average, they were at the poor level." I'm talking of the aggregate score itself
Yeah.
being so poor. And that actually was an eye opener, if I may say, for most people. And that started the journey in a more concretized manner. So, in fact, over the years, ever since then, I have been engaging, like I said, with universities, largely speaking, across the country, right from a BITS Pilani to a Symbiosis or so many other universities. And invariably, it's the same trend that I've noticed. So I'm glad that at least educators, and like you said, you yourself an educator, the thought has opened up, the door
Right.
has opened to people accepting that it's not always about cognitive knowledge, it's also about psychomotor and effective learning. And that's exactly what Bloom also talks of in his taxonomy, right? So somewhere down the line, the good thing is that when I did my entire set of research, I built the model, the science of prim, in a way where we are addressing cognitive, psychomotor, as well as the affective skills of every human being. So it became like a large compass of sorts, which engulfs so much into it. So it's not just people looking at image as, oh, this is the way a person dresses. Most people, unfortunately, believe everything to do with image management is only to do with dressing and wearing
Right.
lipstick, and, you know. But sadly speaking, that's not the only thing. That's a small fraction of the
Yes.
larger science that's been created. And that's why I don't talk of it only in seclusion as image management. The science that I've created is PRIM, which is persona and image management. So that typically, and I often describe it in a way like this, where I say that if you have to imagine the subject matter, we're talking of prim being a trident of sorts with three prongs in it.
Mm.
One,
Mm.
persona or personality, the second being image management, and the third being strategic self management. So we're talking of inside and the exterior to yourself and the social space that you're in. So when we are talking of an amalgamation of such kind of areas, inner, outer, and the social self, the outside self, you imagine a young child in school being able to facilitate his skills, his learning, his mindset to looking at himself from the inside and then superficially, and then the outside space that he lives in or that he will finally eventually move in his professional domain. So imagine us actually skilling him up there and building his skills there and making him ready for the outside world. And alongside, in any case, we have all of our typical cognitive subjects, right? The maths, the sciences, the languages, and all of that. So it's a great mix. And it's high time we started it off. I'm glad it has started off. In fact, news for you, because I remember in 2013, I think I presented a paper at an international conference at IIM Bangalore, and I didn't know that it will get so much of shall I say eye space. There were people looking at it with a lot of interest, and as luck would have it, there was a whole flurry of males that started following me. And IIM Bangalore, in fact, was the first institution probably in the country that looked at image management as a subject of management. So they have actually incorporated it as part of their entrepreneurship education. And I was very happy because, like you have
That's
personal
superb.
management, financial management, etc., etc., today my subject has gone right there. Prim is right there as a proper management subject. And that's exactly what it is. So it has already started off way back in 2013. And now it's just kind of building in. What probably needs to be done is move it also in a more concretized manner into schools. So I'm in my modus operandi at this point in time to try and connect with UGC and the central bodies so that it can be pushed in as a subject as such, even if it is not a subject where you're actually testing out the person, because sometimes people are a little uneasy with that, which is fine. But as
Yes.
long as the learning goes through, I'm okay with it being, just a subject where they have a number of credits and they just kind of, at least learn how they can kind of facilitate their inner, outer, and their social being. So, and of course, it is in line with UNESCO's 4 pillars of learning. So we're talking of being in alignment. In fact, one of my recent models that I've created, which is called the PIT model. It's the Primpact Integrated Transformational Model. So that talks of n number of things being brought together, which I think when I presented it, I think that was just in October. I presented it at an international conference, and that again was like people said, "This is fantastic because if this goes into the education domain, it will actually
Yes.
change the way things are looked at." So yes, I do believe it can work. I've also been training a lot of faculty over these years, over the last decade, because I truly believe like we are the gardeners. for that little
Yes.
garden if we want to get good flowers. So it's not going to be only about the flowers, it's also got to do with faculty. And I'm happy that
Yes.
most faculty are again very open to it. So there can be a very smooth transition. There's a whole system I've devised as part of my research itself in terms of how it can be brought in peacefully and in a very seamless manner into the education field, which I don't think
Yes.
we have the space to discuss those
Yeah.
details, but yes, the process is
No,
on.
I totally, I resonate with that because, like you have even put it in your book, like basically when it comes to presentations, it's only 7% of content and a lot to do with body language and the way you present the matters. But in India, there's almost like, people have 80% content, you can say, and they have all the knowledge. They are, they are really, really learn it, but they are not being able to project themselves or give that knowledge to the others in the way that would impact the students. I actually came across a teacher recently. I had done a seminar at the College of Vocational Studies, and later she came back to me, and I have similar topics to talk about like you. So she came back and she told me, what you told us today was so important because I lost a lot of jobs. She's a PhD in her subject because I did not present myself properly. And later I got the feedback that I was not dressed right for the interview. So, of course, dressing is not the only thing, but it does become a part on how you carry yourself, what your body language is, and more importantly, how you are actually able to, give that knowledge which you have to others. So I think you are really, this is a very important subject which you've taken up, and as an educator, you have also, I think, let's go back to your flying days a bit now. So as in you have even worked on introducing an MBA for aviation, I believe, right? And so
MBB,
tell us a little bit
MBA and
about
aviation.
your life as a pilot, your struggles, about how you became a pilot, and then how you decided that this was also very important, that we should have an MBA in aviation, and what all you did to be able to achieve that for us.
Okay. So, like I mentioned a short while ago in the beginning, that I am a Air Force officer's daughter. So I think flying was in the blood, which was not known to me really till I reached that stage. So interestingly, in school, I wanted to become a geologist. I wanted to go to Antarctica and sit amongst the penguins and research and things like that. And I actually landed up doing my master's in geography, rather geology. And somewhere in the fag end of the course, I one day had this hallucination, and that was a very strange one. I saw the professor standing in front of me, and there was this aircraft that was doing spins and stalls over the head of the professor. And I had never experienced a hallucination before that. And I remember I actually shaking myself up and like, telling myself, what am I seeing? And I saw it again, and I was like, what's happening? I came back and shared with my father that this is what I saw. And he just told me one line. He said, Bache, you're in the wrong line. And that was the last I saw
To
of
be
my
picked
geology
off.
masters. And I packed my bags and moved to Delhi Flying Club. And there I was, all set to take on the wings. And it was lovely, though I started there. And then I moved on to Karnal Aviation Club, and I did my entire flying there, and built my license and all of that. And the whole journey was beautiful. Flying at that point in time, I got my license in '88. That's like a different generation altogether. And we were very few
Yes.
women at that point in time, so it was a rather male-dominated area. You spoke of challenges on coming there. So I remember at that point in time, and I used to have this little Hero Majestic, this moped of sorts. And I would drive down on GT Road from Delhi to this place, to Karnal, which was not the most peaceful road to drive on. It's fairly aggressive with a lot of trucks and a lot of drivers. And I would have my, knapsack on my back and keep going up and down from there. And managed to get a little place there. But I remember the first day I walked into the flying club, there were only boys right there. And I
Yes,
was,
I'm sure.
wow, okay. There were 21 boys. And suddenly they looked at me like, who's this creature? Why she come here? And of course, I got admitted right there. And it was a struggle because when you get into these areas or these domains which are not
Male.
typically woman dominated, or they don't really see women there. So it's always the first few who do it, they go past these experiences. And I remember at that point in time, every single day was like, for me, it wasn't a struggle, but the fact that you're being watched so keenly, your performance is being, gauged so strongly by the menfolk around you, actually puts you a little on guard all the while. So in the flying domain, you have something called a solo, which is the time when your instructor determines that you're fit to now fly by yourself. And it's a very big thing. It's like a milestone. So the earlier
Hmm.
you get, after flying n number of hours, the earlier you get, the better or higher potential pilot you are typically. So the norm is normally around 12 to 14 hours of flying, more than often. Most people get it around that time. So somewhere at 6 hours or so, 6.5 hours, I was called in by my chief flying instructor into his cabin, and he said, "Kuljit, I think you're good to go." And I was like,
Wow.
"Wow!" Yeah, he called me, a pilot made, I'm like, he said, "It's in your blood," is one thing, but you are born to be an aviator. And I said, I was very delighted, but he said, "But hold on, I'm not letting you go." So I said, "Sir, you just said that I'm ready to go." He said, "No, but out there, if I let you go now, there are going to be boys who are going to, kind of pinpoint and say, oh, there's been partiality, or you know what, there's just been this little favoritism because she's a girl. So I'm
Hmm.
not going to let you go." So I had a little, depressed expression, and I said, "Sir, you shouldn't have told me that I was good to go, because now it'll always stay in my head that actually, potential wise, I was always ready to take on." So he
Yes.
smiled, he didn't say anything. At 8 hours, 5 minutes, finally, one day I did a sortie and I came back, and he watched me and he said, "Go." And I looked at him, I said, "Sir, sure?" Because I said, "Ab phir rok lenge, mujhe to gadbad hai phir." And he said, "No, no, I can't stop you anymore. So just go." I did
Wow.
my sortie and I remember flying in the air, and I was like, I was singing aloud. There's this song of Carpenters, "I'm on the top of the world." I
Oh,
was
yes.
singing
I love that
aloud. I
song.
was so happy. And I was watching the mundane world below, and I was like
Looking
ecstatic.
down on
It
creation.
was beautiful, the whole experience. I came, I landed, and as expected, the boys still said, "Oh, there's been favoritism. She got her solo much earlier than us," and so on and so forth. But these are things which I didn't take to heart, of course, but they were interesting to watch in terms of, how people look at you.
Yes.
Every single time you have a set of challenges, there are people always watching you. And for me,
Yeah.
adversity has happened right from the time I was born, actually speaking, because I was 6 months of age. I had an attack of polio in my right leg. And
Oh.
nobody knew in the family. I was actually a dehydration case, a very severe dehydration case. And at that point in time, evidently, I got afflicted with polio in my right leg. And it's only much later, when I was almost about two and I was still not walking, that there was a little alarm in my parents' head that what's gone wrong? Why is she not able to walk? Able to walk? And anyway, to cut the story short, so I kind of grew with already a leg which was a challenging leg, and I was not walking and running like most people do normally. So there was a lot of challenge right there, and I was too little to understand, what was actually wrong with me. So it was only in school when people started looking at me and objectifying me in one way, and this leg caught their attention because it was much thinner than the other and it was much weaker. I was walking differently. People would ridicule me, they would make fun of me, call me all sorts of names, and so on and so forth. So that's when I think I consciously realized there's something probably wrong with me. And I remember having gone to my dad and asking him, I was crying and I was like, "I keep getting teased all the while. Why do people do this to me?" And what's wrong with me? I asked him, and he said straight to my face that there is nothing wrong with you.
Wow.
For me, my father was my role model, and if he said something, for me, it was the gospel truth. And I
Wow.
just accepted that one statement that there's nothing wrong with me in my head, and I moved on. But having said that, I did realize, of course, that it was a weaker leg. And so I worked very hard with the help of my dad. Of course, he put me into an athletics course under a trainer, and we worked very hard on that leg. And I knew that I just, with the amount of effort I was putting in to become normal with the other, millions of
Yeah.
people who are just normal, it was such a big challenge. Years and years went by in me trying to, build that kind of strength. But the
Yes.
good thing is, like I've always believed in my head, and that's what I learned from my father, that when there is no option of failure and the resolve is so hard and head hitting, like you just are totally firm that you are going to do it, there's nothing that can stop you. So by middle school, I was already a gymnast. I was already learning Kathak and Bharatnatyam. I
Yes.
moved on. I did all sorts of sports that one can think of. I became a national level athlete by about 10th, 11th standard. And then I was doing parasailing. I was doing jumps. I was doing all sorts of things. I led as a parade commander the Rajpath march. I was there in Delhi as part of that. I was the All India best cadet, and then I became a pilot. So I kind of disrupted all of that typical norm that, oh, because she's got polio, so she can't do stuff. I today nobody can make out that I've got polio. I ever had polio. I mean, it's all in the head for me. Uh,
Yeah.
People can see
So
that
hats
I'm
off to your parents and especially to your father who,
yes,
gave you that nudge
absolutely,
by telling you
absolutely,
that there's nothing wrong with you. And really, I mean, to have that kind of faith in you and starting you off to dance classes. I saw a very cute picture of yours. I think you must be 4 or 5 years old in a
yes.
Bharatanatyam dress. And, my daughter's also been a Bharatanatyam dancer. So
Okay.
really felt good about that. So tell me something about your dancing days, like your Bharatnatyam and how you feel that, because I really do feel that our Indian youth, the girls must get trained in Kathak and Bharatnatyam because education is not only about what you're reading in the books, and you have of course mentioned that your posture and everything got corrected immensely because of what your dance teachers taught you. So, can you go back to your childhood days of the training you got as a Bharatanatyam dancer and how it helped you in your life?
Yeah, so I started off with Kathak at 3 years of age.
Okay.
And after Kathak, I moved into Bharatnatyam. And so it was very interesting because one is, like my teacher, my Guruji, would always call me expression queen because he said she emotes from here. She dances from here. Not everybody's face dances till they are told, do this expression, and then they do it. But she dances from here. I don't know what he saw, but anyway, he would call me expression queen all the while. So I took part in a lot of competitions, which boosted my morale also quite a bit. And I do fundamentally believe, after having learned Kathak and Bharatnatyam, I was also with Shamaks for a very long time. And I have done, I don't know, n number of performances in India and abroad in all types of dance, including folk and lots of state folk dances. But I believe that the fundamental has been very strong. And that fundamental came out of classical dance. Today,
Yes.
whether I'm doing a hip hop or I'm doing contemporary or I'm doing Broadway jazz or I'm doing any kind of form of dance, I realize it's not tough because the base is so strong that you can't go wrong. You have the rhythmic sense, you know how the footwork works, you know how the stance is supposed to be. So I think in terms of your grace and your poise, your fundamental platform of classical dance always helps you. And apart from that, it's a discipline. It's a great exercise. For me, my mantra is dance. My fitness mantra is dance. Whenever I want, I like people say, do you like exercise like crazy? Yes, I do, but I don't exercise like crazy. I dance like crazy. I do
Wow.
exercise a little bit, but it's more to do with dance like crazy. And I just know that it helps you to love what you're doing, and it makes you feel so, what shall I say, so ecstatic from within, and you
Positive.
feel so empowered from within because every time you do a step that's a tough one, it's like an achievement of sorts, that, oh, I did that and now I'm doing it correctly, and so on and so forth. So it's very enjoyable at the end of the day. So it's a great way of connecting with your inner being, apart from
Absolutely.
whatever it gets demonstrated on stage. But I think it's a great way to feel good about yourself and enjoy an art form and feel more disciplined and also be fit. So I've just loved dancing through the years. And I agree with you. I encourage every young boy and girl to take on a classical form, whichever form be it, and
Yes.
build your base from there. Even if you haven't learned it now, through your formative years, but even now, I mean, it's never too late. It's good to kind of,
Yes.
delve into it.
And I think our Indian dance forms have the basis of good health on all three levels, body, soul, and mind, because they have
Uh-huh.
mudras, they have posture, they have your chakra alignation, they have everything.
Absolutely.
Our
Everything.
classical dance forms are like yoga in motion, and they
Absolutely.
really bring out the best. I think you glow. When you came on, you said you don't have any makeup. Kuljit, you are glowing because it's the inner glow that is showing. Yeah. And I wanted to
Thank
run back to
you.
how do you start I'm glad you didn't do that because the powder would have probably let your vanish your
Yeah,
glow
I
somewhere.
just wore some lipstick
So
and I said, okay, I'm good to go. Let me
so
just
it's your,
settle in.
the inner glow that is within you. That's and it's in your aura. I can feel it over the, this
Thank you.
online platform also, and I'm sure the viewers are also being able to connect to that. So this is really wonderful. Your guidance to the youth on how to make the best of their health and their mind through dance, right? So
Yes.
you have been now. I want to come down to this greatest honor, the Karamveer Chakra Award, which you have, which of course there is no doubt that it's the most well-deserved award for you after the amount of work and the amount of karma that you have been doing every single day. But before I talk about the award, before I let you talk about the award, I want you to share with my viewers. um how do you, like, I heard you somewhere say that you're a very cause and effect person. So, how do you create your causes on a daily basis, or a monthly basis, or a yearly basis? Do you plan yourself? Do you plan your days? Do you have a chart for the whole year saying that this is what this month says, this is what this month says? Because that is something I think will give a lot of value to our youth. Because a lot of the youth I feel are just drifting away. Not only youth, I mean women like me also somewhere. We just drift along. We don't really plan that strongly. I'm learning a lot from people like you now, but most of my life I have drifted along. So I think that will give a lot of value to my viewers. So just talk about
Right.
that for a
So,
while.
yeah, I've always believed and rightly said, wherever you've heard me say that, I absolutely stand by it. I am a very cause and effect person. Nothing happens by chance. And as much as people say, oh, she's blessed with it, yes, she may be blessed, but at the end of the day, if she does nothing about it, it's going to kind of diminish. So I've always believed if you put in effort, you will have an effect. So here I'm talking of, just following a routine from what I understand of your question. So especially for the youth here who, or anyone who aspires to do something and is not able to get around doing it. So I think firstly, it's very important to have a routine, bring in a sense of discipline into your life. And when I'm saying discipline doesn't mean, like people think connect discipline in terms of, forge, but it's not really that. It's just discipline in your own defined way of making sure that once you've got a plan chalked out, you stand by it. And when you chalk your plan, you make it a little more than regular, make it a little ambitious so that you can actually start achieving something. I think more than often what people do is they just say, okay, fine, I'll spend this much time doing this and this much time doing this and so on and so forth. But they don't put in an element of moving forward. So that aspiration to go a little beyond, a little sense of challenge for yourself that if I can do this in, let's say, 1 hour, let me see if I can do this now in 45 minutes. A sense of challenge. So I think that is something which personally everybody must determine. As far as my routine is concerned, I've always had a sense of discipline in terms of what I do. It's been there for I don't know how long. I think I don't even remember when, but I think I've always been an early riser because I believe the first few hours of the morning are extremely important for yourself. It's my me time. So I can quickly share if you want what kind of routine I typically follow, if it can help the youth to kind
Absolutely.
of get an idea of what exactly typically a routine can be like. So for me, it's like a 6 a.m. kind of a waking up time. And I start off my day with, of course, quickly having hot water with methi seeds and stuff like that. And I get into a meditation mode or I go for a quick walk. And of course, my Japji Saab ka part starts playing alongside. I water plants. And so it's like just a me time where I'm just kind of being me with nature. So it's just I'm trying to assimilate myself just calmly in the morning. And it's beautiful because there's you can only hear the birds chirping, and also that time I think is very important for people who are risers like 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. I think they're going to miss all of this part if they don't wake up early. So I've always believed at least 6 a.m. is a decent time to kind of get up and start doing stuff. Then, of course, at around 7, I do at least an hour of workout and physiotherapy because I have a few injuries that I have to take care of. So at least an hour goes in kind of, taking care of that part. Then after that, of course, is the typical shower, the breakfast, and making sure that you have your prayers done after bath. And after that, my Sukhmani Sapka part starts, which is playing in the background while I'm doing my prayers. And then the 9 a.m., I typically get onto all my social media handles, check out my emails and updates because I don't want diversions during the day. So it's better to kind of just spell out a time and say, okay, I'm going to allocate half an hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is. So I typically do that. Check out if there's anyone's birthday, wish that person, and so on and so forth. Check out if any events are there that you need to kind of make your appearance. And then I start work at 9:30. I work for on an average between 10 to 12 hours, which is like I close at around 7:30 or so. And in that, n number of things, whether it's client meetings or trainings or events or internal status meetings, strategy meetings, creation of content, products, whatever it is, and my research, of course. And of course, then building the schedule for the next day that comes in towards the closure of the day. And then another thing I want to actually highlight to the youth specifically, there's something called prime time. Every person has a certain hour of the day or few hours of the day, which is your peak time. So your peak time should be identified by you. My peak time, for example, is somewhere around 11 a.m. till about lunch. So anything that needs a lot of thinking, a lot of strategy, a lot of productivity, that's the time you should pick those tasks and make sure that you are, because you're actually at your highest potential level. So it's a good thing to do. Another thing would be the Pomodoro technique, where you work for some time, take a short break, work for some time, take a short break. What I do is I work for about 45 minutes to an hour and I take a 5-minute break. And I'm a heavy tea drinker, green tea, of course, because it's more of
Yes.
antioxidants in that rather than having a lot of tea otherwise. So I normally take my break and I have music playing along. In fact, I work with music on all the while. I'm a huge music lover. So there's instrumental, soft instrumental playing all through the day, and it's there in the background. I can hear it. If there's something that I really need to focus on, probably I'll switch it off for some time, but otherwise it's all the while on. So it's healthy to keep taking breaks, because the focus of every human brain is not more than 45 minutes at one stretch. So that's why even in schools, you see there are periods, right, where you break that thought and move into the next and so on and so forth, so that your attention span is captured. So the Pomodoro technique actually allows you to do that. So all you youngsters who are listening to me probably should try and explore. Pomodoro typically goes with 20 minutes, but if you don't think 20 minutes is long enough, you can extend that to about 45 minutes, as I do. Because I believe my attention span is much longer, but you can choose this for yourself regardless. And then, of course, once I've finished my day, then comes back to the me time. I have an early dinner normally, around 7:30 or so, 7:15, 7:30. I have a light early dinner. And then there are phone calls with my family, because my daughter is working in USA. So that's the time I'm sitting and connecting with her. Time wise, also, it works out. And then I watch a little bit of television. I'm very fond of period dramas and period serials. So I'm watching Ahilya Bai, for example, right now. I love going back into history. So I do that. I play an instrument. I have a few instruments at home. So it's a guitar or a synthesizer. I dance a little bit. I sing. I do whatever makes me happy. And then post dinner, around 10, again, I settle in to start doing this phase of learning for myself, which is more to do with something that can help me as an individual, or something that can contribute to my research journey. So it kind of helps me to grow. And normally I sleep post midnight. So I'm sleeping for, let's say, about 6 hours in a day on an average. There was a time I was heavily into my research. There are moments like that when I sleep only then 3 hours or something in a 24-hour cycle. But those are the times when the research is on, so you're so much into it, then you become a mad scientist. So you're no longer just a sane scientist. You're just like constantly deep into it. But typically, that's the way the routine goes. And from my routine, I think most people would have realized it's just a normal, ordinary routine, but it's just that I've spaced it out in my way. And I've also made sure that I've incorporated a balance of enjoyment along with
Yeah.
work, and work aggressively. But then when you enjoy, just enjoy.
I think that's so.
Family time. I like to cook. I cook for myself. So I like doing that. I bake for myself. And most of the time, because my daughter's not here, so I'm doing this single-handedly here. But just
Okay.
so this is the typical routine.
Yeah, so you have music and dance incorporated between all the hard work that you do. And so the day becomes a very beautiful day, I'm sure, because of that. So when you
Yeah.
were talking about all this, I was just going back to my school days, especially, and even college for that matter. You know, we had such a boring style of studying. कोई म्यूजिक नहीं होता था, कोई डांस ब्रेक्स नहीं होती थी. I truly feel that our education system, unfortunately, everything is going online most of the time, but hopefully very soon we'll be offline also. And when
Yeah.
we come back with a bang, I think do something about this, that schools and colleges should make the education time so interesting and so wonderful that every child should be just looking forward to increasing the knowledge along with all the fun they have. Every
Absolutely,
20 minutes break.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
that happens, I think our youth will go a long way, especially the backbenchers will start enjoying their studies and their knowledge gaining much more, and that would
I
do a
agree.
lot of good. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, one of my concepts is Primya, which is Prim using expressive arts. So
Yes.
singing, dancing, theater, poetry, all of these things are used to be
Yeah.
able to enhance a
So,
person's personality. And
yes. They were
it's
used,
definitely,
but they were like they were compartments. Like you do
yeah,
go
as
take part in
separate.
the play, you go sing, but it's not part of the routine as such.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
not as though you've had a 30 minutes of math session and then you can just get up and dance a bit.
yeah.
That's what I would like happening in the
Absolutely. Yeah,
schools.
yeah, yeah. So, in fact, there are techniques which I use when I'm engaging with students. Like I make them get into, or at least I tell them about something like, let's say, creative visualization, wherein, let's say, you are studying history randomly. I'm just saying, giving an example. You're
Yeah.
studying history, and you want to learn how what happened in the independence struggle. 1947, right? So imagine, and I've done this with a lot of people. I'm not saying only this example, I'm just quoting this example as such, but whenever they've tried it, they've come back with some great responses saying this works actually. So keep a sheet of paper in front of you and with a pen,
Yes.
start creating little diagrams of sorts. So you make an Indian flag, for example, and you're talking off and you're making an arrow there, post, or pre, whatever it is, what all happened, and you kind of keep drawing and doodling of kind of doodle away as you're talking and speaking aloud. So you don't need to get into rote learning per se, but you're using creative visualization. And because psychometrics has gone to prove, like, we're all either visual or auditory or kinesthetic learners, so we don't know, and our teaching system doesn't really take care of all types of learners. It's typically visual or maybe
Yeah.
auditory, but we don't always take care of every single child and taking care of his or her learning style while we are teaching as a teacher. So it's important to make sure that at least these techniques are shared. So if creative visualization is done, that child suddenly realizes that what she took probably 20 minutes to learn, that in so and so year this happened, this treaty was done, blah 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 blah, suddenly while she's got it on paper and she's creating designs out of it as she's talking
Yeah.
aloud, as if she's teaching herself, she suddenly realizes she's got it all. And this has actually worked. People just need to try it out once. But so, like this, there are n number of techniques that can be used, sometimes through sing song, sometimes through a little jig, and sometimes through dancing, like I said, or drawing something. We just need to get a little more creative. And I think
Yes.
the more teachers kind of involve themselves in this, the system will get better. I know there are limitations, no doubt, in terms of the system, but I think
Yeah.
teachers can also kind of get a little more responsive there.
Yes. Yeah, some teachers do try all this also,
Yeah,
like thinking of charts and drawing out every, situation. And there are a lot of, fortunately, we have a lot of very hardworking teachers also. And there is an
yes,
awareness of all this.
yeah,
And there is an awareness of this that it has to be audio visual both. And also, like, you could create some jigs and songs with your,
absolutely.
otherwise mundane. Like I know about a teacher who has created so many, songs for maths formulas and things like that to remember. So,
Fantastic.
so they
Yeah, so
do.
that's
They
good.
are doing
I'm
that. But
glad. Yeah, so
this is what needs
it's
to be really promoted also. Just
true,
be in
true,
sync with that.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
I would like all the viewers to actually go to this book to connect to you, Prim and Powerful, Soar into the
You have
Skies
a
on the
copy, I
Wings of
have one here
Comfort.
too.
Yes, so I do have the copy, and this is for the viewers. The copy says, "Have you ever dreamt of being so powerful and confident that you feel like a warrior who can take on anything in life? Make your dream happen now. Discover and unleash your true potential and reinvent your persona and image to a more authentic and influential version of yourself from the inside and the outside. Be prim and powerful." So I strongly recommend this book to all, especially the women and the teachers here, to go through it. And Kuljit, would you like to say something more about the book? on how it can create value, because I would really want everybody to connect to you through the book, and also how, if there is any other way to connect to you, you can talk about that.
The book, firstly, thank you so much. That's really kind of you to be able to actually show my book like that. And like I shared earlier, this is in line with Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is a not for profit book. And this is basically, as she just read out, the blurb. So basically, it is all to do with yourself, your inner, your outer self, and trying to make yourself more self reliant. So this book is set in a very conversational tone, and I'm speaking to the reader. So it might connect with every single person who reads the book. And so you will see that the language is very simple. So don't get jazzed out thinking that, oh, this is an image scientist book. And so, it might be full of jargon. I have kept it extremely simple. A school student can read it with ample ease. And it can even suit a person who's almost closing into retirement. So that's one thing. There are 20 chapters in the book which touch base with the inner self and the outer self and the social self, as I said, and they will help you to enhance yourself on all the fronts. It will help you to introspect and kind of think about the way you are wired, your mindset is, how you conduct yourself, what kind of relationships you have, the choice of people you make, and so on and so forth. So, as I shared earlier about the three prongs, it contains persona management, image management, and strategic self management. So, it is an amalgamation of all of these three. And I think the highlight of the book is to do with power moves, which are great ways of actually putting your learnings into action. So I decided that I will put that in because it's not only about reading a book, it's like a do it yourself of sorts. When you do a power move after you've read whatever I've shared with you, you will realize I'm suggesting you a power move that you need to actually explore and do it yourself. So then that learning gets enhanced at a different level. Apart from that, I think it's, like I said, it's extremely helpful to the youth and the professionals. And it's like a ready reckoner. I know very many people who've told me it lies beside their bed. And every time they are in doubts of what are they supposed to do, they just pick up the book and they kind of look at it as a reckoner of sorts. So I'm happy that that book is helping out people. The whole attempt here is to make sure that whatever you do, you keep doing better and better, you challenge yourself more, and you become so strong. And the word inner warrior that she's just read out comes exactly from that, where you are so strong, you become like an indomitable force, a force of God that is ready to take on the world, is ready to take on all the challenges of the world, all the sets of adversity, and every single desire of yours that you have ever thought of or that you feel that, you want to achieve. So it's a beautiful summation for yourself in terms of your personal and your professional and your social life. And it'll contribute to your successes ahead and give you a nice, satisfying life. So
Yes.
I would really
So it's
urge,
all,
yeah.
yeah, it's all about, actually believing in your own self also. And like you mentioned somewhere that uh, some Armenian proverb which in Hindi meant that, they उन्होंने हमें सोचा कि हम मर गए और दफना दिया, पर वो ये भूल
I'll
गए
tell
कि
you
हम
what it
बीज हैं,
is.
हम बीज हैं, और हम इतने बड़े पेड़
Yeah,
बन गए. So
yeah, that's a Mexican
yes,
proverb. Yeah, it's a Mexican.
yes,
It's one of my favorite
Mexican.
proverbs. It's a Mexican
Yeah,
proverb that says they thought they buried us. They
yeah,
didn't know we were seeds, which means
yes.
typically this, that no matter how deep you are in the, under the ground, the
Grounded.
fact that each
No
one of
matter
us has
what
that
people
innate
try
skill.
to push you,
Yeah,
because people will pull you down. They will try to
yeah.
bury you
But you
and
can
bury your
stand tall
dreams.
and yeah, you can
I
stand tall
love
like a
that
beautiful
because
tree.
I think for a lot of women, especially, they the whole thing about daring to dream. In most families and most the patriarchal society that we have, their dreams are pulled down and very quickly buried,
Yeah.
and they're told that no, this is not what you should be dreaming about. This is what you should be doing. And most of the time, you have, most of the women unfortunately have to, or are not being able to stand up to their own dreams and just you know
Mm.
not sprout up as much they can. So that's a very nice thought to have, and keep with you, that you do have the potential, and if you just don't let your dream go and you keep working on it and be prim and powerful about everything in life, you will get somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
we left talking about the Karamveer Chakra Award. So time is almost going up. So I want you to talk a little bit about that award and what it means to you, and from because it's a very big responsibility after getting it. So has it infused that energy, and आपका fifth gear अब flying gear में चला गया होगा और पता नहीं कौन से gears और रह गए हैं. So people even don't know about those gears. And how are you looking forward to your next few years? What are your plans, and what are you going to do for us?
Okay, so firstly, I have never taken an award. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, please
Um,
continue.
so, so for me, while I accept awards with extreme humility and happiness and grace, I have never given an award too much importance in terms of, uh, shall I say, sustainable pride. It does give you pride, but I don't want it to enter my head. So I have a typical, shall I say, a system for myself. The day of the award, I'm ecstatic, I'm very happy, I'm proud, and I accept the award with humility, and then it goes into one of my cupboards or into my bed box, and I just let it stay there. It goes beautifully packed inside, and it's there as my past. I don't live in that moment, as in, oh, I have this. It can add things to my credentials, of course it does, but
Of
beyond that,
course.
I'd never let it enter my head. I have taken
Wow.
it like this is the way I work normally. So if you come to my home, you'll not see a single thing around in my home. Nothing is displayed. Nothing is put out here and there to showcase I've done this and I've done that. Nothing is there ever. Because that's my individual way of functioning. I've always believed that an award is an acknowledgement of your journey. So my journey is not come to an end, right? It's just a part of it. It's a milestone. I take it as a milestone, a beautiful milestone. I keep it aside. So, with due humility, I received the Karamveer Chakra Award also for the kind of work I have done, and I've engaged a lot with. I've almost touched about a lakh odd people that I have impacted, and especially from the economically challenged section of people where I engage with from colleges. I focus a lot on girls because, sadly but truly, in our country, even now, especially in smaller towns and cities, I won't say cities, in fact, in villages, you still find that young girls, when they get into puberty, parents start searching for
Boy.
a match. And it's really sad because, despite the fact that we have rulings of certain kind where we're not supposed to get them married so early, there are still these things happening, and really really puts me off. And I just feel that if I can explore that option where I can engage with these economically challenged girls, because they may have the potential, they may have desires, and I've come across so many thousands of them. um, I like to encourage them to study on. I'd like to encourage them to feel empowered from within and be able to pick up a job for themselves. So I spend a lot of time with such girls, and so many of them have been brought home. I bring them home. I train them, whether it's dining etiquette, whether it's clothing, whether it's training them for the interviews. I train them up and then get them ready for industry, and then they go out there and make their lives ahead. So
Yeah.
my it's a very small, humble way of me trying to do a little bit for these girls. But as the days have gone by, I'm glad the numbers have increased, and the journey is, like I said, it's only begun. It's just been, it's just been a decade. So there's a long way to go still, and I'm just looking at that going constantly, and not just in India. I know India is definitely my country, so I'm going to be focusing, and we have so many people that can be impacted here, right? But somewhere down the line, I have been reached out to by other countries saying that why don't you do this also for us? So there are a number of countries that have reached out to me, and I have done a little bit there too, but not so much there, because I keep saying, you know what, my country already has so many people, and there's
My
only
home.
one Kuiljeit Uppaal right now, and I try and make it as personal as I can. It's not just a quick job. I try and get into their lives. I try and make that impact as much as I can. So for me, my antenna stands up when I'm looking at a segment of population. If they are more economically challenged, or they are struggling, even if they're not economically challenged, but they're challenged in terms of their confidence, um, and they need help. So I am always there, and all of this is happening in a charitable way. So I don't
Wow.
charge a penny here. So I kind of support these kids as they move along. And I think that's the least I can do as a human being, and
Yeah.
as an elder who has picked up some amount of education, picked up some kind of knowledge, and I'm empowered enough to deliver. So I just feel this is my duty. So that's what I do. And yes, the Karamveer Chakra actually acknowledged this effort of mine, this mission of mine. Apart from the fact that I have brought India on the global platform in the area by being the first image scientist in the world. So I brought India in a certain bracket to be recognized in a new area altogether. So apart from that, but the fact that my journey goes on today, and there, yes, you said there's a responsibility. There's humongous responsibility because you cannot let down people who are now looking up to you and waiting to be helped by you. I won't say helped, but let's say at least where you can engage with them
You know, show
and
the way.
help them to, yeah, show them their way and move them to the next level and so on and so forth. For me, it's funny that like the other day my brand manager was asking me that why do you keep reaching out to universities, because I keep saying time is running out. I That 2030 is around the corner now. The
Yeah.
whole mission started off keeping that in mind, and I want universities, I want schools and colleges to come and engage, reach out to me and say, why don't you engage with us? Why don't you do this free session? Because I'm doing this for no financial purpose here. This is just because I want to do it so badly. I want that difference to be made. So that's how the journey has been going on. And as the time goes by, and of course, because Corona now has come in such a big way, and now we have Omicron coming in. I don't know when it's going to go. COVID seems to hang around for possibly a period of time. You asked me about my future plans. I pretty much see myself going more digital. I've already started going more digital than I ever did. I think all of us in the training industry have done that. Education, everyone has gone digital for that matter. But the only thing is that while the reach has increased and become more global, the fact is that the engagement that I used to have with all the bachas earlier, that's not the same. It
Yes.
doesn't feel the same. The whole fabric of dynamics changes a little bit when you can't see your bachas right in front of you and you're teaching them things and saying, no, this is right. It can happen online, which I'm again attempting to do. And so this coming year, in fact, I already have a course lined up. So I think I'll be going digital in the coming year, in the next few months. And mentorship is happening in any case across. So there are a lot of people who, on a one-on-one basis or on a group basis, they keep engaging with me. I'm going to be writing my next book probably too. Prim and Powerful was just a warm-up into my subject, but this is not the know-how of everything. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more. So I'm right now writing my Science of Prim, which is a huge volume. I don't know when it will get published because it's so huge. Every time I research something new, it gets in again. But I'm looking at being able to probably facilitate more of this journey of mine, make the mission a little more powerful, come up with newer ways of engagement with the youth. And of course, I think I'll probably be going a little more aggressively now outside India too, because I think the countries that have reached out to me have been waiting for long. So I probably will go a little more stronger on the international frame. But apart from that, there's a lot of work I'm doing for women. And Wiki, you mentioned as earlier, you're part of it yourself. So the Wiki Life Skills vision that I have has already gone about, we've already created certain modules and we're kind of finalizing it right now. So these modules are going to help women professionals to be able to build their life skills. All of the WHO oriented 10 life skills, which in my mind, when I thought of life skills, I did a lot of research and came up with this is the way to go ahead. And so the vision of being able to impact every single woman professional in the country, be it from whichever industry, micro, macro, whatever be it, that vision is still on the track right now. And I think the coming year we'll see a lot of training being disseminated to the women, again, free of cost, on our YouTube channel for Wiki. So I see that happening. And I'm hopeful that the government, because I'm going to be getting a policy out soon. So once the policy is out and we introduce this to the government, hopefully they see metal in it. They might actually implore some of the ministries, maybe the Child and Women Development Ministry, to kind of look at it more concretely and explore this. So that's the way the
Thank
journey will be.
Thank you so much, Kuiljeit. I feel very honored to have had you on the show, and I think we have to wrap up now. We definitely need a sequel to this interview, interview two with Kuiljeit, because there is so much more to talk about. So maybe you wait for your next book, and then we'll do that together
Thank
again.
you.
And
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you, Shruti. Thank you so much. And thanks to 10 News for having me over here.
thank you so much. And I'm sure this, your information and the way you have connected and given us so much of your daily secrets will definitely make an impact on everybody who's listened to you today. And we look forward and wish you all the best for your global impact when you're going out there to the other countries. I'm sure you're going to make us so proud. And जैसे मैंने शुरू में कहा था, you are the हीरा of our country, the diamond, who's also a Jori. So you're doing two roles together. So we are looking
I'm
forward to
trying.
more and more shine coming from your
Thank
side.
you.
You're right. I'm also one of those who's keeping a close eye on what you're doing, and I'm going to follow your steps.
Thank you, Shruti. I'm so, so humble. Thank you so much for all those
Thank you.
good wishes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we can do.